Okay, so recording is started, team. So one thing I am telling you, so whoever is experienced, whoever is having already good knowledge on the data engineering field, for them, just it will be little bit boring because this is completely theory session. Day one, today's session is completely theory. We just understand what data engineer will do, what exactly means by data, how we are receiving this data, what we are going to do with this data, and many other things, different ways to look at the data. So all those things we will discuss in today's session. So let me get started. So good morning, team. In this Databricks Master Program, in today's session, I will talk about introduction to Azure Databricks. Okay. So before I move on to the introduction to Databricks, so we are talking about data engineering using the Databricks. So engineer who will do the engineering on the data. So what is meant by data first? What is meant by data? Tell me.
Information about something.
Correct. So any information is nothing but a data. Okay. So what is the use of this information? So first thing is, what is the use of this information? How business will collect this particular information. Okay, how business will collect this information, how business collect this information. Okay, what is the use of this data? Okay, so let me give you one of the example. Okay, so one of the example is, if you see, when we have a elections, okay, when we have a elections, what we will get before the election, we will get something called survey. What is that survey? What is that survey talks about? They collect some information. Okay, they collect some part of the information and they will predict, okay, who will win this elections, isn't it? So the data is basically in the election. What is happening? Whatever samples they collected, from that samples, they are predicting. Okay, this may be the, like, maybe X person can won or Y person can won this in this particular state or in this particular country, and so on. They are going to tell. Okay. Similarly, if you talk about healthcare domain, in healthcare domain, earlier, right, you, like, we don't have this much technology. So to diagnose any disease, right? So it is very difficult to do. They cannot able to identify anything directly, right? So they need to maybe sending for the biopsy to understand what is the cause of this particular disease, and many other tests needs to be done in order to identify what is the disease. But now, by looking at the scanning reports, maybe you can say MRI scans or CT scans or blood reports, so they are able to tell us, okay, so 90% this particular issue because of this X disease. They are able to tell us immediately. Why? So there is a lot of samples that they collected. Whoever is reported with the X value is greater than 20, they have this disease. Whoever is having the X value less than 20, they don't have this disease. So like that, there are a lot of data samples that hospitals are having. So whoever is experienced doctors, they have all this information. That's why by looking at your blood reports or other reports, they are going to tell us, okay, this can be the issue. Okay, next, I want to know what will be, like, let's say in my retail store, let's say Flipkart or Amazon. In my retail store, I have around 10 million laptops, or let's say, what is the other way you can say is 10 million tablets I have. Okay, and these all tablets, I found that these all tablets are going to expire in the next 1 year. So now what is my goal? So you have a 10 million tablets, maybe fewer tablets or some X tablets. Okay, simple example I'm giving you. because the actual business data, if I tell for particular domain, you may not be able to understand. That's why I'm taking all the general topics. There is a fever tablet, we have 10 million tablets, okay, in the retail store. So now these all 10 million tablets are going to expire in a 1 year. So what is the retailer should take care in order to sell these 10 million? He need to take the previous history. Every quarter how many tablets are selling, okay, we are able to sell. And last year how many tablets were sold, and last to last year how many tablets were sold. So how many tablets is probably may sell in this particular year, how many extra tablets that I have, so that what I need to do, I need to sell it for the some kind of a medical stores by giving some discount, so that I can sell all these things. So in order to identify whether they need to put some kind of a discount on this to sell them everything instead of expiring the tablets and disposing them, so they want to sell all those things. For that again they need a some information, historical information, what happened in the history. So like that, the use of data is many in the business. If you talk about, we talked about retail domain, we talked about healthcare domain, okay, healthcare domain, okay, public domain, like I just talked about election campaign, right? So similarly, let's talk about financial domain. So in financial domain, let's say when you are going for the loan, what is the first thing bank people will look into it? Like for you, if you request for some loan, they will look into something. What is that? Anybody have any idea?
Your credit score,
Any-
like your past record of
Past
how
performance of
much.
the customer.
Yeah.
Correct. So mainly they will look at your CIBIL score, credit score, right? What it is. It is basically going to improve if you are doing well in the previous history. If you have not done well in the previous history, the report credit CIBIL score will be very less. So by looking at that particular single value and by taking your history of transactions, they'll understand whether how much loan that they can able to grant it for you. So that is all about financial domain. Let's say now travel domain, if you take, you are traveling over a flight or a bus or something. If you are first time, if you are traveling through that particular bus travel, they will give you discount. Okay, if you're very frequent traveler, so they will give you discount. So what is that? Again, they are identifying the good customers who are frequently choosing their bus or their flight or their train or whatever, and they are trying to provide some discount to make the existing customer happy. Similarly, whoever is joining first time, so he is a new customer, to make the new customer also happy. If you see, many people will give you the discount if you are booking a first time with your registered phone number in the travel domain also, like that. So in every domain, okay, every domain data is very helpful. I have given one example in all of these domains. Okay, very good. We talked about what is the use of the data, but now the next important question is how these businesses, it can be retail business, healthcare domain, public domain, financial domain, travel domain, any other thing, if you are considering consumer food, for example KFC, you have consumer foods, PepsiCo, you have consumer foods, right? So Nestle, so many other things are there. So now consumer food also, in food also they want to predict how much is the expected sell in this month, expected sell in the January, expected sell in the Feb, expect sell in the March, right? So maybe based on the season, the sales will increase or decrease. So that particular report you should have to understand and to maintain the sufficient actual food in the store. Okay, so that is consumer food. But let's talk about now whatever domain you got some knowledge on the domains. Now next question is how all these domains will get the data. See, there we understood how they will use this data, but how this business collect this information, whatever information they need, how they are collecting. Tell me how they are collecting that information. Any idea?
Like
Using
through
the log.
user registration forms and stuff.
In retail domain, you are providing data or not daily. You are opening Flipkart from India, okay? Amazon, Snapdeal, and many other things you are opening everyday websites, right? If you don't have account, you are creating account. Okay, what you are doing, while you are creating account, you are providing all the required details. Then what you are doing? After providing all required details, you are placing orders, whatever items you need, you are adding to the cart. So many other things you are doing. So who is providing data to this retail domain? So for Flipkart, you are the customer. For Amazon, you are the customer. For Snapdeal, you are the customer. Similarly, in US, you may have the different web applications. These are called Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal. These are called what? Web applications. You are accessing these applications to the web browser. So that's why these are called web applications. In the healthcare domain, if you go for any hospitals, right, multi-specialty hospitals, they will take, so what's your name and your phone number, is it a first visit, if it is something like that, they will generate a unique id and they will write that unique id on the file that they are submitting to you, meaning they are taking your details. Okay, healthcare domain also, each hospital will have their own web applications. So for example, you have AIG hospital, Omega hospital, right? So these are the top hospitals. So what happens? So when you go there, so they will basically takes all the required details and they will write a universal member ID, UMI. Okay, UMID. Okay, so that basically universal member ID. So wherever you are consulting Omega hospital or AIG, there will be unique ID for you. So wherever you go, whatever branch you go, by looking at this, they can identify, okay, you are the existing customer. Okay. Similarly, public domain means, right, for a, okay, so maybe in a show, again, social media, right, and Facebook. So many places you can find the public data. You are uploading the videos, you are posting some comments, photos, or whatever, where you are, what you are doing, many things you will post it in the Facebook. You can say public or social media domain. So financial domain, in financial domain means, let's say every day we are using phone pay for making the payments, Google Pay we are using, net banking. So for every bank is having their own mobile application. So everybody using their own mobile application. So all these things we are using to make the transactions, to create the accounts and making the loan request and other things. Travel domains. Every, like in India, we have, if you see flights, right? Maybe what we have? Make my trip, make my trip. A red bus if you want bus, or Abhi bus if you want bus. Okay, IRCTC. Okay, so if you want to book any train, so like that you have a web applications. Using these things you are booking the any travel. Okay, consumer food, I told you, right? So consumer food domain, what you are doing, you are just basically using Zomato or so some other sites to place, okay, food, okay, place order food online. Okay, clear? So like that, business is collecting the data. We understood how they are using the data, how they are using the data, how they are using the data. Different purpose. So retail domain for predicting their sales, health domain to diagnose the disease, public domain to survey few things to understand what is happening, who can own, or for example, if you take a election campaign, as I said, financial domain, we just wanted to understand any suspicious transactions happen suddenly from your account. 10 lakhs you have transferred, but you never transferred even 1 lakh, suddenly 10 lakhs transfer happened. So that will be treated as a suspicious transaction, and your account will be hold or freezed for some time until you call them and give the justification. or they will call you. You need to just to take the call and respond for them, saying that this is the transaction which is made by me, something like that. Okay. So travel domain, again we want to understand who is the best customer, how we are providing. So whatever, like how many people are able to book and what are the different ways of booking. Okay, travel, is it people are directly enrolling, or they are enrolling through the web applications, or they are booking through the me seva. So they want to understand what are the different ways people are coming, so which way is the best way for them to go and advertise to get a more public. Okay, so consumer food, so they just want to understand the feedbacks, how the food and all, so what customers preferences, many other things. Okay, everybody understood now? So now we understood how we are collecting, what we are doing with this particular data. Okay, this is very very important, because as a data engineer you should know what we are going to do. So now in this introduction to Azure Databricks, right, let me quickly talk about some of the terms. What is big data? How big data is generated? Big data key concepts. What is big data analytics? Advantages of big data analytics. Who is using big data analytics? Early framework in big data analytics. What is Azure Databricks? Let's talk about it. See, big data means data which is which is quite huge amount of data. Okay, so big data is a field that treats way to analyze, systematically extract information from, or otherwise deals with data sets that are too large or complex. So the data which is very huge, if you're dealing, it's nothing but a big data. Sometimes data may be very huge, but the useful information is very, like a few, lines of data may be useful, or few MB of data may be useful. So you need to extract the useful information from all the big data set. Okay, for example, so there are some continuous streaming data is sending lot of parameters, saying the weather condition there. Okay, so how it is changing every minute, so the temperature and many other things it is sending. But you just want to measure only temperature, how it is changing for every minute. So you can just extract the temperature from the all parameters which we are receiving through the streaming process. Streaming process means continuously it is going to send the current information from the mining places and other things, right? So data that you want to implement, you see there are 5 ways. So first type of data is called a live data. Second is historical data. Third one is analytical data. Fourth one predictive data. Fifth one is data for change. Very quickly I will explain. Live data means anything that is happening currently, and it is basically changes in the life. For example, stock markets, stocks, if you see, you will see the changes in the live, right? Similarly, if you see cricket matches and all, so while somebody has made a century, immediately they'll say this is one day's fastest century in the world. So how they are saying, because they will process as soon as the he made the century, they are going to process it and they'll tell you so what all histories it has rewritten, right? So that is all about live data. Similarly, if you go to any ATMs, right, if you go to ATMs, immediately you can able to draw the amount and that will be updated immediately. Okay, that is also a live data example. Historical data means wants to keep logs of when something has and has not been working. So it's a history. I want to know in history, like let's say when the cricket match is happening, when somebody at 98, he made a 98 score within some 30 balls or something. So they will predict, they will put to you a lot of details saying that if he made a century, this is going to be the second highest century or first highest century in the one day history. So there was earlier he made the this particular record was there on the Sachin Tendulkar, who made the century within a 28 balls and something like that. They'll keep on projecting. So what is that? Because they already have the historical data. Historical data means whatever happened since years. Generally, in most of the project, we talk about only last 3 years of the historical data. We will talk about it. Okay. Analytical data. So analytical data means you are going to see. Okay, so like you are going to apply a lot of analysis. If you take an example of again a cricket match, in the cricket match you are going to do a lot of analysis. So like what is the history of the current player, right? Whoever is playing, what is his history? So what all centuries or half centuries that he has made in this particular ground, and they are going to do some kind of a analysis. So analysis means, so they are just going to say that okay, he made a last time 50. So that could be the reason is maybe like the bowler is strong bowler, that's why he is not able to make the century again in the last match. So maybe let's say sequence of 5 matches if you have taken, you are just predicting why he made a less score in the first match, why he made a highest score in the second match, why he made it again the average score in the third match. So you are going to analyze each match. So meaning in history, whatever he played in that ground, so you are going to analyze each and every day what is happening. Predictive data means, so based on the last 5 matches, you are predicting the sixth match details. Okay, sixth match, he may made a century, he may made a 50. So something like that. That is a predictive data. Predictive means future you are going to estimate with the help of the existing data. Existing data can be a historical data and a live data. See, in a one word, I'll let me complete it. Live data means current data, what is happening now. Historical data means whatever already happened, okay, in the past. Analytical data means by taking the live and historical data, you are going to apply analysis to see what all the parameters are changing when you add the current data to the historical. Predictive data means, so based on the historical data and the live data, you are going to predict what may happen. So rain is forecasted tomorrow. How? So they are going to take a lot of parameters live and a lot of historical parameters. They'll compare and they'll predict. Okay, the rain is forecasted tomorrow or today, something. Okay, so that is a predictive data. Data for change means, so earlier, if you remember, whenever you have a problem while logging into the net banking, okay, you want to inquiry something. So generally what we will do, so we used to reach out to the customer care. Earlier we used to reach out to the customer care, but now, have you heard about chatbot? Have you heard about chatbot? For example, so I have a issue here. Okay, I have a issue here. Whom I need to reach? I need to reach out to the customer care. It is very difficult. It's a very common issue, many people will generally face it. So now you see ask Eva, it's called a chatbot. So you can tell her like what all problems that you have. So you have a debit card service issue, okay, reissue debit card or manage debit card transactions. So I want to, basically debit card is not working while swapping. So I just want to get a one more duplicate of the debit card, reissue debit card. So it is saying I have read the privacy policy bank here and proceed. I want to proceed. Please enter registered 10-digit phone number. So you can just enter and proceed. Further details if you provide, automatically it will take care of your request and process it for dispatching the new debit card. Instead of waiting to for the connecting to the customer care and telling him all your problem, taking the request, it takes a lot of time. But this is a general request, so all those requests Eva can able to help us to solve the issues very quickly. So this is the improvement. So this is basically to make the customers more interactive, to save the customers time, okay, to solve the customer problems immediately. Okay, so this is the change for customer. Data for change means you need to change something how it is earlier working to make the business much more beneficial for the business. Okay, so want to change how something works. Why you need to change something? Because to provide a better services for the customer. Okay, to provide a better services for the customers, you need to make the required changes. Okay, any questions in this slide? Any questions in this slide? Please let me know if you have any questions in this slide. Okay, no questions. Let's move on. So how big data is generated? See, big data can be generated through the transactions. Transactions means it can be a your retail, as I mentioned, Flipkart, Amazon. There you make any purchases. It is called a transaction. Through the phone pay, Google Pay, you are making a payments. That is called a transactions. Okay, so anything you are booking a flight, it's a transaction. You make the payment right again for the flight, so that is a transaction. So that is the one way of generating this use data. Scientific data means, let's say there is a lot of research is happening, right? So that entire research data, they just put different values and they will try to get the accurate values in the scientific. So scientific can be a healthcare scientific, it can be research, right? So scientific means what? So anything like now people are researching or they are trying to get the data on the moon. So whether humans can able to live in the moon or not, they are trying to predict those things. Okay, so that is basically a scientific data. Getting? Any research, not only that, what I'm saying is it can be a so COVID injection, right? So COVID doses, there is a lot of research happened, they find ultimately the COVID dose, right? So there is a lot of research data, that is also one more way of generating the use data. Next, sensors means what? So nowadays all the big hospitals are like normal if you go to showrooms and all, there is a sensors, right? That's why as soon as customer, whenever customer is entering into the showroom or whatever, doors will open automatically, doors will close automatically. Okay, now like nowadays maybe in India very few people are using, when you enter into your home automatically light will switch on, if you go out automatically it will turn off to save the power. So not only that, so cars, whenever your car is hitting the wall or something, it will make this voice, right? So there is a sensors. So this sensors data is also another way of generating this big data. Next, social media, I don't need to discuss much. Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, so many ways. Every day many people are uploading video shorts, many things. Okay, enterprise data, so many companies, they will maintain their project details, their employee details, their employee project details, employee associated project details, employee salaries, and many other details with respect to organization. That is also big data. Public data. Public means you are going to the Quora and somebody says, I have a 2 hours in which company I need to join. Somebody is saying, so I want to see how I can able to add my institute location in the Google map. So that is just, it's a one of the one or two questions I'm randomly asking, right? So you want to know, you want to ask public what they will suggest for your problem, you can just put your problem, so they will suggest. Okay, so such type of things also can generate a big data like public data. So whatever I mentioned here, these are the some examples I am just put it here to make you understand how big data is generating. But not only big data is generating with the help of only this, there are many other ways. Okay, now let's say I am a architect. So I am going to the client and I want to understand the client data. See, you are a developer means, okay, I'll create a pipelines, I'll write a Databricks notebook. This is not that much help, like this is not that much work. Anybody can able to look at the Google and search for something. I want to join two data frames. Okay, it will give the code. You can put the code and you can do it. But understanding data also very important. So that's why the architect, the role of the architect is to understand the data and designing the efficient architecture. So that's why in order to understand efficient architecture, this particular slide points are very, very important. These three terms are very important for the architect: data volume, data velocity, data variety. What is meant by volume? Volume provides amount of data and form of data. Amount of data means, is it a terabytes of data or number of records, transactions, tables, files? All these things come under a data volume. Data velocity means how quickly data will come. Is it going to come in a batches? Batch can be a hourly batch, daily batch, weekly batch, monthly batch. When you say hourly batch, collect the data for 1 hour and process it. Day batch means, daily batch means, collect data for 24 hours and process it. Collecting data and processing means what? Collecting data means whatever transactions are coming. Let's say you are making a lot of orders in the Flipkart. So all the data will be stored for 24 hours. After 24 hours, we are going to add this particular list to you. Let's say I want to add some 5 points for you, your account, because you made a lot of purchase in my account in through the Flipkart. So all those adding 5 points, all the actual things will be added in the tables. Everything will happen at after 24 hours because your data will be processed daily. Near time, real time, both are same. Okay, sorry, near time is separate, real time and streaming. So streaming talks about near time and real time. What is the difference between near time and real time is, the batch means what? You are collecting and processing. Streaming means what? As soon as data comes, you will process it. But there are two things within the streaming: near time and real time. Real time means data arrive, process it immediately. Near time means it's a small batches. Small batches means instead of waiting 1 hour, maybe you are processing data for every minute. Every minute means it's not a late, but it's a near real time. Near real time meaning as soon as data comes, it is not processing, but it is taking 1 minute to process. That's why it's a near time data processing. Okay, so data volume provides the size of your data. Data velocity talk about how frequently your data is going to change. Data variety talk about your data, whether it is a structured data, semi structured data, unstructured data, or mixed data. Okay, structured means what? So all the database tables will have the data in a proper structure. Semi structured means, so XML, JSON, these are called a semi-structure. Looks like a structure, but it's not a proper structure. Okay, so next and next values will be the unstructured data means all your images, audio files, video files are the example for the unstructured data. You need to understand the type of the data. Now, when you go to the client for understanding your data, you need to ask this question. So how many years of data you want us to process? They'll say 3 years. What is the expected amount of data that you have in this last 3 years? They'll say 20 terabytes. Next, you need to ask daily how much data you are expecting. So that is coming under a data velocity. You are expecting the speed of data. How much data you are expected to get daily, you are going to ask. They will say daily we are expected to get some around 20 GB of data. Okay, fine. So where you are currently storing this data? So they'll say, yeah, we have different sources. We have a Oracle, SQL servers and all. So when you have taken the list of sources, you will know, okay, Oracle, SQL server, all these are a databases. So entire data is structured. They may say, hey, we have some SQL server, we have some file systems, SFTP and many other things. So you need to understand, okay, file system, SFTP means files, the files. So when you say files, you don't ask low level things, because business may not know the low level things. When they say files, you should not ask in which file format data you are storing and all, because high level business people may not know those things. When the project started, you are going to understand in which file format data is stored and other things. Okay, clear? Clear, team? All of you clear on this? Any doubts in this slide? Any doubts in this slide?
No, Malay.
Okay, fine, let's move on. So big data analytics and advantages. Okay, so big data analytics examines large amount of data to uncover hidden patterns, correlations, other insights. So what is big data analytics? So on the huge data, right, you are going to apply the analytics. Okay, so analytics means, so for example, earlier I have given you one of the thing called suddenly 20 transactions happened on your credit card. So that is a suspicious. You lost the credit card, maybe somebody has taken and they are trying to draw entire amount that you have in the credit card. So that is called a suspicious transaction. Immediately they will call to you. Nowadays, even if you make a payment through the phone pay, ICICI Bank mainly, they used to call immediately. Okay, they will stop making payment after one transaction itself. So that is the analysis that they are going to do in the back end. They will try to understand how normally what are your activities. Okay, they will understand your activities. Whenever they feel, the process feel that okay, something unusual happened, so there is a huge amount of transaction happened at once, which is unexpected, so immediately you will get a call or your account will be freezed. Okay, so like that, big data analytics will help to examine your large amount of data. You have a lot of historical data. It will examine all your historical data to understand, uncover hidden pattern, correlations and other insights, which means that any unusual things that are happening currently, it able to examine with the help of the all historical large amount of data that you have already. So that already examined, right, all historical data it examined and it understand what are your general activities. So but today it identified it is not part of the general activity. I found that it is suspicious transaction, it will be blocked. Okay, so with the today technology, it is possible to analyze these kind of things and get answers from it almost immediately, because you can just call to the customer by looking at these things. You will get to know this is a suspicious transaction. Immediately you are going to freeze it. Immediately you will come to know that this is a suspicious transaction. You are going to block the account immediately, and you will call them, you talk to them, and you are going to resolve the issue immediately. So that's why with today technology, it is possible to analyze your data and get answers from it almost immediately, an effort that's slower and less efficient with more traditional business intelligence solutions. So with the old technologies, right, it is very, very difficult to analyze the data. Okay. So, but now with the today technology, what is today technology, most popular technology that we are using for big data analytics? Any idea? Any idea what we are using nowadays? Earlier we
Is it Python?
very traditional, later we have used Hadoop. Now we are using something else. Any idea?
Spark.
Is it Python?
Very good.
PySpark?
We are using Spark. Okay. Earlier we don't have any technology. Later Hadoop is introduced. In Hadoop also we have some disadvantages with respect to the map reduce. You must have to know the Java, and it can only process batch data. It cannot process the live data, streaming data. So a lot more disadvantages. The data processing also very slow with the Hadoop MapReduce. That's why we have a Spark. Spark is very faster. You will come to know why Spark is very faster, because it uses in memory and many other advantages we have with the Spark. Now, many people, let me clarify one thing. Many people may have this doubt. Some people are saying Spark, some people are saying PySpark, some people are saying Python Spark. See, we don't have these many sparks. We have only one spark. Okay. Now you may ask, but why some people call it as a PySpark? Okay. As the spark has a huge demand, as the spark has a huge demand, what Spark developers has done is Spark developers has created a APIs. APIs means now Spark you can able to write it in a Spark code, you can write it in a Python because you know Python. So Spark code you can write in a Python. You can write Spark code in Java. You can write Spark code in Scala. You can write Spark code in R. Now Microsoft is already started writing Spark code in the .NET C#. Spark you can also write it in the SQL, meaning as the Spark is very popular, almost all everybody is using Spark now for data processing. Okay, big data analytics. Yes, like this is unexpected adoption by the industry. So nobody is expected that industry will adopt this particular Spark this much. So that's why what happened is the Spark APIs are introduced. So whoever knows Python, they should not learn again Java to write a Spark code. So that's why if you know Python, directly write Spark using the Python. If you are using a Scala, write a Spark code with Scala. If you are using Java, Java, R language you can use, C#, SQL. Everything is supported. Okay, but out of all these things, what is the popular language now we will use in the Spark is Python. If you are using a Python to write a Spark code, that is called a PySpark. If you are using a Spark to write a, if you are using the Scala to write Spark code, that is called just a Spark. If you are using Java to write a Spark, that is also Spark. If you are using R language to write Spark, that is called a Spark R. If you are using SQL, that is called a Spark SQL. Okay, like that we have names. Remember, whatever language you are using doesn't matter. The underlying concepts, underlying code, everything looks like same. Only small syntaxes will change based on the language. Small syntaxes, but we will discuss each and everything that is required for you. Okay. Next. So cost reduction. So cost also, because cost reduction happened mainly because of the cloud. Any idea how cloud is saving the cost? How cost is saving in the cloud?
Like companies don't have to buy servers and infrastructure. They can just buy subscription to AWS or some
Even if you take a
server
subscription, you
that's
are making the payment. Have you heard about auto scaling? What is meant by auto scaling? Auto scaling means when you have a demand, you take the resources. When you don't have a demand, you return to them. Let's say you have a rental bike, right? Rental cars nowadays. What is meant by that? Instead of buying the bike, taking care of the maintenance, okay, whenever something happened, going and looking into that and taking the repairs and all, you just take the bike whenever you have a requirement, you use it for a day or 2 days or 3 days for your trip, you return them back. So now what is happening? You are saving a lot of cost. Instead of spending 1 lakh on purchasing a bike or 10 lakhs on purchasing the car, what you are doing for this particular trip, you need a car. You pay for 10,000, you just use that particular rental car, okay, and you can return them. Now you don't have any headache because everything is managed by the other people. Your work is solved, your purpose you have solved, right? Now what happened is you have a requirement, you have taken the car, and when your requirement is done, you are returning them back, right? So now what happens? You are saving the cost. Instead of spending 10 lakhs on the 10 lakhs investment, you are just making 10,000 payment. You are using the car for some time and returning them. Similarly, in the cloud also, we have auto scaling. You need lot of computers. You take when you need, you return them when you don't need. So that's how it saves a lot of cost. And when you need, when you don't need these things also, processes can able to understand automatically. When you return the Spark code, Spark while processing the job, based on the data, it can understand whether it need a more computers or it does not require more computers. It will take automatically. Even that parameter also you no need to worry. That's why, that's how it will save the cost reduction. Faster and better decision making, as I mentioned, Spark is very speed because it processes data in memory and many other advantages we have. I'll talk about those things. Okay, don't worry about it. So new products and services, as I mentioned, right? Chatbot, I have shown you in the HDFC net banking, right? So chatbot will help us to solve our problems almost immediately. Okay, so you need to keep on introducing new products and services to make uh, or to provide the better services for the customer and to make the existing customer happy. So as I mentioned, these three things are the key. So cost reduction, you can introduce the new products as per the demand. So faster and better decision making with the help of the today technologies, you can process data quickly and you can able to understand. Let's say very simple. So there are some of the items that you need to sell it today, or there we have only 1 week of time to sell all the products which are going to expire. So if you know which all those products which are going to expire, you can take a action immediately. Let's say you are sending lot of items to the store. There is an accident happened. You could not able to deliver all these items to the store. There is a loss in the selling. Now, okay, whatever happened, you cannot able to do anything. You need to send one more vehicle to deliver the items. So you need to get that information. There is a loss of items in terms of the delivery. So you know that immediately you can send it immediately. So there is an accident happened today, you come to know tomorrow, you will send it day after tomorrow. It is lot of delay, right? So to avoid all these things, to make a smarter business moves or more efficient operations and to get higher profits, to make a customer happy, for doing all of these things, we need to analyze our data and understand our data is very, very important. Any doubts in this slide? Ten more minutes, we can just close the session for today. Okay, let's move on. Who is using this big data analytics? Okay, so life science. Okay, life science means, you know, right? Everybody know or you don't know? Life science means so the living being, research on the living being, right? So all humans or any animals. So everything you can call it as a life science. Clear? So banking, okay, healthcare domain, retail domain, government organizations, and manufacturing. So these are the some of the things which are using the big data analytics to make their profits higher, to provide the better services to the customers. So early framework in big data. So earlier, how the teams used to work is, okay, there will be a data engineering team. So who will engineer the data, like they will remove the duplicates, they will fill the null records, they will create the quality of data. Okay, then data science team will use this data to do the machine learning algorithms, everything they'll apply to get the prediction analysis. The other side is the reporting team. So the reporting team will put some key performance indicator. Okay, total sales happened in this month against last month, total sales happened against last year versus this year. So the products which are about to expire, the total products which are stocked in the store, how many products are ordered, how many products are expected to deliver by this week, and many key performance indicators we will display in the report. But we have data engineer, data scientist, data analyst. Now data engineer data sets will be used by data scientist, that is machine learning people to do that prediction analysis, data analyst for showing these reports in the report. Okay, in the Power BI, Tab Viewer, Click View, so many places. Now data science team, data analyst team, data engineering team earlier used to work in a isolation. Isolation means independently, there is no connection, there is no interaction between all these people. Okay, so now what happens is organization ended up with the separate teams to independently handle. So all these teams we need to handle independently because there is no interaction between these three teams. Because so data science team will, data engineering team will use separate services to do the data engineering work. Data science team will use separate services or tools to do their work. Data analyst team will use separate things to do the things. So that's why they are ended up with separate teams, and they used to handle the things independently. Now I'll give you two situations. Which situation is better? You need to tell me. There is a project. There is a client in US. Now the team is in India. Now approach one is all the development team is in India, business team in US. They are working, okay, together. Okay, so maybe they are connecting in the evening or something. This is the approach one. The approach two is entire team is also in US and business team is also in US. They all are working at the same place. So which approach is good for you? Approach one or approach two? I'm repeating question. I have a team who are working in India, business team in US. Working means development team in India, business team in US. Approach one. Approach two is business team and development team in US. Which approach is better?
Number 2.
Second
First two.
approach.
So approach two. The reason is everybody is at the same place. You can deliver the things much more efficient. Okay, because you can do the efficient work and you can do the things very quickly. So that is what here happening. So earlier all these teams used to work independently in a different locations or different places, different tools they used to use. So they used to work in a isolation. But now what happened is, this is the problem with the early framework. We have a big data analytics, all these things. Whoever is using the data engineers will take care of this analytics. Data science team will do the machine learning algorithm implementation. Real time analytics means reporting, everything will done by the data analytics. So those three teams will work independently. There is no connection between these three teams. See now. So but do we have a solution for this? I want to bring them into a single place where all these three people can able to work together to deliver a efficient product. So yes, that is the Azure Databricks. Not only Azure Databricks, it can be AWS Databricks, it can be Google Databricks. Now, if you learn Azure Databricks, 99% of the things similar in the AWS, similar in the Google Databricks. So Databricks is, it's a third party thing, Apache People Service, which is introduced, which is integrated as part of all cloud services. So if you learn Azure Databricks means you know AWS Databricks, you know on-premise Databricks, you know Google Databricks. Everything is same. You just have to learn one Databricks. Okay. Now, how Databricks will help us is, this is a new analytical service called a Databricks. So this Databricks is faster, easy, scalable, collaborative Apache Spark based analytical service. Because remember, it is faster because it uses Spark. That's why it is faster. It is easy. You no need to write entire code to execute. You can write a bit and pieces of code, and interactive notebooks will be there. Okay, interactive notebook means let's say in the chat bot, like you clicked on something, it has given a result. Again, you clicked on something, it is generated a result, like that. You write reading the file, read the file and display content and see what is the data. You add a new column and see the data. So it is very easy for you to write. Scalable means, as I said, right, automatically it can take how many computers it need to process the data. Collaborative means your data engineers, data scientist, data analyst, everybody can able to work in a same notebook. Okay, everybody can able to work it in a same notebooks. So that's why Databricks is faster, easy, scalable, and collaborative. Apache Spark based analytical service in Azure. Getting next. Seamlessly integrated with other Azure services in interactive workspace. Remember, Azure Databricks earlier we have Hadoop. You know Hadoop can able to read from where? Any idea? Hadoop will read data from only HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system. If your data is in database, first you need to copy data into HDFS. If your data from the REST API, first load data into the HDFS to process. This is very headache. Unnecessary lot of process you need to rewrite and many things you need to do. But now in the Databricks, it can able to directly connect to the databases. It can directly connect to the file systems. It can directly connect to the REST API kind of things. It can directly connect to data warehouses. Anything it can directly connect. You no need to load data from here to there. Then only it reads the data and process it. No. Hadoop can able to process data only when we have in HDFS, but Databricks can able to connect directly to all databases, file systems, REST APIs, many other things. Okay. It is reduced the cost and complexity with the managed platform that auto scale up and auto scale down. Because when you need a more computers, you take it. When you don't require, you can remove it. So basically, it saves the cost. That's what it is saying. But don't worry, whatever I am doing, whatever I am saying, all these things we will prove it. See here. So we have a data scientist, data engineers, business users like data analyst, everybody will be there at the same notebooks they are going to look at. You can even do the some kind of a reporting within the Databricks itself. Okay, machine learning algorithms, like you can able to write some models. So data engineering, all the ETL processes that you can able to develop within the Azure Databricks. Okay. So it is making process of data analytics is more productive, because you understood, right? More productive when everybody is working at the same place. Enterprise grade security. So we have different security layers within the cloud. So we will take care of all those things. Okay. So I'll tell you how we can able to implement those security things. Elastic scalability. Elastic scalability means again same auto scaling, scaling up and scaling down, and it is compatible with the tools and services that we know. As I mentioned, it can connect to Azure Active Directory, Power BI, any storage file systems, any databases, data warehouses, anything it can able to connect. Okay. Yeah, that's all for today. So if you have any questions, please let me know. We can discuss all your questions. We can discuss. What is the difference between data scientist, data engineer, data analyst? The role of the data scientist is to do the prediction analysis. So I want to bank has fetched some data and they want to know how much loan they want, how much loan is eligible by this particular customer. Let's say there is a customer, we want to know the eligible amount that we can able to grant it for that particular customer. How you will do that? You need to see many things. What is his income? Is it a independent business or is it working for some organization? Whether he is married or not? What are the properties that he is holding as of now? So many. What is the history? What is the CIBIL score? Many things. Then they will predict it. That is the data scientist. They will create some kind of a models in the backend to just give the predictive result. Okay, future result. Any correlations, as we discussed, right? So any unexpected values, any unexpected transactions that are happening, all those things, data scientist team, they can able to identify with their process. Data engineer, all the ETL process, you are extracting the data. uh, like high level, I can tell you, data engineer will talk about what is happening currently. Data scientist is basically the role of the data scientist to tell the business what is the future of your business. Will tell to the business. Data engineer will tell what is happening currently in the business. Data analyst, just to show you future what will happen and what is happening currently, everything will be shown in the reports. That will be done by the data analyst. Clear, Sud, Saloni? It's an analytical
Yes. So,
service where we can able to do the ETL processes, and we can use this Spark to process the data. You will come to know more about what is Databricks, etc. Okay.
so this falls under data engineering,
Correct.
Databricks.
Yeah. No. See, our training mainly focused on the data engineering. So this Databricks is for only data engineering. No, Databricks you can use Databricks to do anything. Data engineering work, data scientist work, data analyst work, anything you can do. But our primarily we focused on the data engineering field. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Harish, any questions, Harish?
No,
Anybody have any?
Malay like that. This is Apaswamy, and I do have a small question around the PySpark with Jupyter Notebook and the Databricks. So, as an architect, I want to suggest the Databricks to my customer. They are using the Jupyter Notebooks with PySpark, which has a similar kind of workflow. So, what are the key points that I can put to bring my customer to Databricks?
So you are saying they are using on-premise notebooks. So you want to ask them to Jupyter notebook kind of things. You want to suggest to them to go for the Databricks. What points you need to convey them, right?
Right.
See, very simple. The first point is if you see on-premise Jupyter notebooks or whatever you are using. So that is the first thing is on-premise. Auto scaling is not possible. That is the first thing. It basically increase the cost. But if you come to the cloud, it will save the cost. Okay. Next thing, when your jobs are running, where you will need to monitor, for monitoring the jobs you need a separate service in the on-premise, but in the Databricks, monitoring everything you can able to do it there itself. For scheduling the Jupyter notebooks you need a separate service, but scheduling the Databricks notebooks within the Databricks you can able to do. Next, as I mentioned, so data scientist team, they want to use the same notebook for extending their functionality. So whatever data engineering team has done, on top of that, they want to add 2 more data validation checks, or they want to extend that. So that is possible because we all are working at the same place. So they can add the extra features to the existing code. So all these things you can able to do if you're coming with the Databricks. And tomorrow you want to quickly change the language, that is very simple because Databricks supports something called magic commands. You just click on Scala, it will convert your Python code into the Scala, meaning code will not change, but command, what language it has to execute, that will change. You will come to know that point when we are discussed the practicals, but at this point you may not be able to understand this last point. But before whatever I discussed, all those things you can tell him to convey. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Databricks is sufficient to get a job as a data engineer. Yes, Databricks is sufficient, but whoever is learning Databricks, I suggest them to learn the Data Factory and Synapse as well. Those two are also very important for data engineers. But that is fine. Databricks alone can give you the job, definitely. But once you join the project, there also you need to learn the ADF for Synapse, because mostly we use both. Okay. Any other questions, team?
Yeah, like we do have a new service from Microsoft as a Fabric. So when I
Yeah,
go through
yeah,
the architecture, I found out.
yeah, I
Okay.
understood.
So
Fabric
do we have a
wants to do
session?
everything at once. So that is basically introduced, but the industry is not adopted that as of now. But definitely we will see 1 or 2 sessions and we will explore what it is. Because once we know Databricks, ADF and Synapse, all these things only will be there as part of the Fabric. So we will definitely look into that. We'll give you some overview,
Yeah, sure.
because as of the industry is not adopted that.
Yes, thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem. Saloni, so you can mention 2 to 5 years minimum. People see whoever is not practiced, they mention 2 years. Whoever is practiced all my sessions, they can mention up to 5 years of experience on Databricks and the ADF Synapse. Any other questions, team? No questions. Final call, team. Any questions? Okay. Okay, team. If no questions, then thank you all. Thank you. That's super.